Okay, let's begin. So, hi, my name is Aniket. I'm the vice president here at WIOS, and today we'll be beginning our second session of Learning Track series. Now, before this, I believe those who have been following our Learning Track series, you might have watched our GitHub video, which was the first in the series, and then we took a break, and then we brought an industrial expert to share some of her insights from pre-grad, and we proceeded with that interview as well gracefully. And today is technically the third video, but our second session on LTS, and we would be teaching you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Yeah, I know it's a very cliche topic, and people keep teaching HTML, CSS, and JavaScript almost everywhere. But I hope today you'll learn something new from here. Even if you don't, I think it would revise all the concepts that you have learned. And a note to all the freshers, I hope you enjoy the session. And we have Chirag Jain, our technical lead from WIOS, who would be proceeding forward with this session. And I'll leave the microphone all to Chirag for him to begin. And any queries that you have, may you please put them in the chat box. I'll see them and I'll notify Chirag about all of them. Thank you very much. Let it be great.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So, welcome to the second session of this learning track series, WebVerse. So, today we would be diving into HTML and CSS, possibly CSS if time permits. So, a bit about myself. Like Aniket said, I'm Chirag Jain. I'm the technical lead at WIS. I'm a data science enthusiast and a part-time front end web developer. So, without further ado, let's go with HTML. Now, what is HTML? You might ask. See, HTML is basically a markup language. So it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, any web browser that you might come across, like Chrome, Edge, Microsoft, all of them are built using HTML as the base. So we have an HTML called a boilerplate, which is sort of like a skeleton of a HTML document. So let's go through it line by line. What does a boilerplate have? So the first line that says is doc type HTML. Now a doc type HTML is essentially tells the browser that the what the code is written in. So there are multiple HTML formats like HTML4, HTML5. So it tells whether the written code is in HTML5 or HTML4. Now next we have the HTML tag. Now you can see in HTML tag, it's basically the root tag. It's the root of all the documents, and in that, beside HTML, you can see there is a lang attribute. So what does this lang attribute means? It basically states what the language the what's the language the web page is written in. Now, when it's not necessary for those who can visibly see the website, but for those who can't see the website, like, and for those who use text to speech software often, it's beneficial for those people, because the software it helps the software identify what language it's written in. So it basically reduces the process time. Now the next line is the head. Head basically is it's like an important part of the HTML document. It contains all the important info about the website. It's not visible to the user, but it's more sort of have like all the links which through which the website functions properly. So we have the first line is meta cassette UTF-8. What it does, it ensures that all the characters in the HTML document is rendered properly, because certain character sets doesn't allow like exclamation mark, or maybe doesn't allow emojis. So this ensures, this cassette UTF-8, it ensures that all these characters are rendered properly. The next line is the title line. Well, basically, as the name suggests, it sets the title for the HTML document. Here I have given my own name, that's Chirag Jain. So the next line is the body tag. So body tag contains all the content of the web page. Uh, yeah. Now let's get into the coding part. Let's not talk about it more, and we'll go straight to the coding section. So before I will be using the VS Code for this, and before starting it, I have certain extensions that I would like to share. First one being the live server. So there are two servers basically. So it helps you check in real time whether what or how your HTML document looks like. There are two servers. One is from Microsoft, and the other one is from the Twig Day. I would prefer you use live server from this side live server and not this one, because when we are making a responsive design, live preview from Microsoft is not it's not good. I'll show you an example. So if you're doing this is from Microsoft. So from Microsoft, it opens up in VS Code itself. But if you are doing from live server, it will open up in your web document or in your web browser. I mean. So now I'll start with basic components of HTML. So the first one is the headline tags. So there are 6 headline tags. That is H1, H2. Let's go in order. H1, H2, H3, and till H4. So till H6, there are headline tags, and please check how it looks like. Let me show you. Yeah. So if I will do a preview, you can see how the size as well as how the size decreases and how it is bold. If you compare it with a normal p tag, which is the paragraph tag, uh, it's different. So you can see it's hello there. Now, there are certain other tags that you can use, such as the strong tag. If you basically you can embed it inside another within tags itself. So yeah, check. Okay. Yeah, this is how it will look like if you were to put strong. This also you can also use bold tag, which is like this. It's similar, uh, anyone you can use. And then for italics, you have the EM, which is emphasis tag, and so you have the italics. There's also one more extension that I would like to talk about. That's the auto close tag. It helps you save time. It's just for your own convenience. It helps save time a lot. So if I were to say tag like this, if I were to write tag, it will automatically close it. Now, the next part is about the basic website. So I will give you or talk about the basic components using this demo website that I have prepared, sort of prepared. So let's go with this. So see, one good thing about using VS Code is that you have certain shortcuts to write the code. Like you have exclamation mark that will write or that will basically write the boilerplate for you. Now you will see that this line of code was not mentioned in the boilerplate that I had shown. This is basically for when you are making a responsive web design. And right now we are only going for static, and we're not diving too deep into the HTML part. We'll only go till intermediate. So we don't need to worry about this. So the first thing I'll start with is the title of my website. Let's go with my website, and I will. I have already created a project file called session, and it has a folder called images. Now, this images, I will start with sections. Now, in section one, it's about profile. So it's a demo website. So I have, it's supposed to be similar to a kind of like a portfolio, to look like portfolio. So I'm assigning section ID to profile. Now, in this section ID, I am creating an image. An image, basically, if I will open up the live server, you can see that this is updated. My website has been updated. You can see the name tag. And when you go here, you can add the web image that I have already downloaded. So once you download it, you can see it's a bit too big, not as per our convenience. So for now, I will reduce it using inline CSS. We won't talk about CSS much in this part of the section. We'll go into this deep in CSS when Swara Deep is talking about it. So let's just reduce the size so that it's much more clear or much more visible. So let's go with 20 percentage. So 20 percentage in this scenario is 20 percentage of the web page. So you can see how it is reduced. And now I wanna go and write the name. So we talked about how h1 tag is the bigger or the header tag. So let's go with John Wick, and you can see how it's here. And then we need to go for uh, let's go for what the description about John Wick, because it's a portfolio, so you have to describe a bit about yourself. So John Wick, I already have some predefined text for John Wick and description. Now, if I input it here, you will see it here. So you have a retired world class assassin. Yeah. Now, if we go to the next part of the section, that is, now we have done about the profile. Now we need a breaker, or it's more sort of like a section breaker. So this is HR. Now HR stands for basically an horizontal line or the horizontal row. It sorts of create like a margin. Now if I go to section, if I make another section right now, and I will assign another thing, let's go with skills. Now we'll talk about the skills, and now we'll go for tables. Now in tables, like I'm using GitHub Copilot, so it's already uh, basically giving me ideas and already filling it. So if you go like this is the skills, how H2 works. This is the table. Now table tag has table rows. This TR stands for table rows and TD stands for table data. Now there's also in table that we have headers. So for headers we have th tag. So th tag basically just makes the statement makes the content bold or the text bold. Okay, I guess I wasn't audible. May I know till from which part I wasn't audible?
From the table headers.
Okay, so table headers. Yeah. Okay, so table headers just makes the statement bold. Whatever we have written, all the content we have written in it, and the I have used internal style sheets, and this style sheets can only be inserted in the head part of the document. So let's go with hashtag skills. And to inform you that this HTML is basically really alphabet specific. So if you were to write small as it won't consider it, and you might get an error. So that's something to be considered. Now in skills, I'm using hashtag here. Sometimes you might see that you are using dot. So it depends, because when you're using dot, it's when you're referring to a class, and when you're using hashtag, it is when you're referring to a ID. Now for skills, I want to do specifically or make alteration or modification specifically to a table. So if I do that, I will get it something like margin left to 25%. Margin left, if you guys are aware, margins are, if you're aware of Word documents, margins are basically this part. So when you go for margin left, it basically says that margin from this section, that's the left section. So you can see it has moved 25% towards the right side from the left end. Now there's also one thing called there's also one thing that you could do if you want a good looking table, that is um nth child. So what nth child does is basically on effect or background color, it basically checks the style or style coloring of a Word document, of a table. I mean, like in a Word document, you might have seen tables have different styles, like uh, black and brown, like black, alternating black color and white color. Similarly, you have uh, here as well. You can see how it has alternating orange and white color, and I will align it towards. Right now, I'm not giving much consideration towards align because we're not working towards CSS. So I'll keep CSS part a bit low. Uh, Now we go to the next section. Next section is about the, let's go with, let's say, work experience. Work experience. Let's go with EXP, and we'll go with list. Now, work experience. First is the header part. Then we'll go with UL. UL stands for an ordered list. There are two lists basically: unordered list and ordered list. Now, unordered list will give you in basically like in symbols, and whereas ordered list will give you in numerical order. So if I were to write list, and let's go with, that's already assigned. So assassination 2014-17, and if you look at it right now, I'll save it. If you look at it, you can see it has it in symbol. But if I were to go back and change this to order list, you can see that it starts with one. That's the only difference. So it's up to your preference how you want. You can use an order list or order list. I'm using another list for now. So let's create a few more. Okay, let's go with something different. Let's go with table stuff, and let's change the year as well to 2017, 2018, and oh, discussion. Okay, so we have uh two right now. I'll create one more just so it looks a bit appealing. We have H3 again. Let's go with is a pet, and do it, and yeah. So you can see we have three created, three lists created. Now let's go towards another section, that is education. Let's go for education. Education, and let's go for H2 education. The next part is I'll talk about div. Now the thing about div is like a container. Now it's basically like its own environment. It's like an environment within an environment. So if I were to write, let's go with high school education, high school education, and let's create another div for.
Yeah, Chirag, sorry for interrupting, but can you repeat what you just said? I think your voice got cut in the middle.
Okay, so div is basically like a container, and it's more sort of like an environment within an environment. Now I'm here taking an example for I'm making two divs here. One is high school and the other one is college. And go with yeah. Now, as of now, you won't be able to see any difference because they are it's more similar to this. But once I add some styles to it, you will understand what it basically is. So let's go with background color to set to this color and background color with back. Now you can see that there are two different divs. And now let's say I want it side by side and I don't want it one after the other. So what I could do is just add go through display and write inline block. Same with here, display inline block. And once I do that, you can see that one after the it's besides each other. uh Next part is the section, that is the footer part. So footer part would be consisting of the contact me. I will use footer rather than section here. Footer, and I will apply the ID contact me, contact me, and it's already assigned me contact me. Now here what I could do is there's two ways we can do it. One is through using forms, and the other one is we can directly embed a anchor tag. Anchor tag is basically a link tag. So first one, let's go to anchor tag and let's go with mail to wis at atp.ac.in, and and let's go with email ios and ending with if you open it here, if you see it, you can see that you have WIS, and when you click on it, you will be redirected to the email section. So I won't go much into it because uh, in some web browser, this mail to doesn't work. It's not very convenient for us to work with mail to, so it often requires PHP. So we are not going through PHP as well. Um, Now let's go to the forms tag. Forms tag, I want to basically add, let's say, here, even here in forms tag, you'll see action. Action is basically when you complete or if you fill up a form and you press submit, where does that data go to? Now we don't have, and it's usually PHP, and we don't have any PHP file right now, and we are not dealing with PHP, so we won't worry about this. So let's just go with, let's say, label. Label is basically like text. So I will assign it name and text. Let's say name, enter name, and we have something called an input tag. Input tag has like there are multiple types for input. So we have type, we have text, we have radio, we have checkboxes. Let's show you the text part where it will give you a text box. So, and it is for name, and ID. It's also name. Now, if I will, you will see that you have a text box and you can see the enter name and all is present here. Now, if I go back here and write email, like I said, enter email, you can also have an email, and you can also apply a placeholder. Placeholder is basically something that would be present when nothing is written. So let me show you an example. Yeah, so when you are not writing anything, it will have WIS at VIT-AP.AC, written already written here. And now at the end, I want to add my LinkedIn link. Let's say I want to add a LinkedIn link to my contact me. So let's create another h2 saying reach out, and let's say at ref at anchor tag, and let's go with, I already have my LinkedIn with me, so copy, paste it here. And here you can import or you can embed a image so that the link is applied to the image. Now, for example, let's go to, if you want any images, you can always use flaticon.com for any sort of logos that you want. So you have, say, not just LinkedIn, you have Instagram, uh, you have YouTube and whatnot. So you can use this for any sort of icons that you want. Now, what you guys have to do is just right click on it. You can copy image address and directly embed on it. It just saves time. But it would be out of size, so you have to resize it. Now, if I look into my website, it's really big, not how I want it. So I will reduce the size using, let's we have to do it in images. So reduce the style, go to style, change the width again, make it 2.5 percentage, and once I save it, you should be able to see uh this small thing. So if I click it, it will redirect me to LinkedIn. Now, if you see this part, now I have examples for forms written here. So let's go to show preview. Now see, now I talked about different sorts of types that are there for input. Now we have radio. Now what radio is basically, it's how it's a radio button. So you just have to write input, type radio, ID. I'm just talking about genders here. So it's male, female, and then submit. Next part is text area. Text area is basically you can type anything, uh, and you can also resize it to your convenience. And yeah, you can also at the ends you can also submit it. Once you submit it, it would go to, like I said, x.php, but I don't have an x.php file, so it would only say that file not found. Now the next part is talking about like languages. Now I'm talking about checkboxes. So you can, like how it's the same as using radio button. It's just the type is checkbox. So it, once you click on it, it's how a checkbox works. Next one is label for, let's say I want to make a drop down list. You can use this. Now I want make a drop down list, so you can use select. Select is like a multiple choice type, and you have options on it. Now I want to add another options, let's say option, and it asks for value. Let's go with Mercedes and add Mercedes as an option, or you can find Mercedes here. Now, what this there's also this selected part. Now, what's that? Selected is basically when nothing is selected. So, if I remove this size, if nothing is selected, the first thing that it would select is no cars. Now, if I remove selected, it will directly go to Volvo. Volvo will be the first thing that is selected. What multiple here allows us to select multiple options. So if I click control, I can select all the options that I like, and it will store. Now next thing is a button. Now button here basically says, it's just like a button. So you on click, what's the action that is supposed to alert, say click me. Okay, it doesn't work in this one. If I open it in live server, so once I click on button, it will say, "Wow, you clicked." So that's like a pop-up message. Now, when we now see the website right now that I have shown you is not as efficient as this looks. because I have another website that I made it, uh, which is same one, and it has the styles to it. Uh, okay, yeah. So this we have to align it properly with CSS. So let's work with the CSS part. Now, like I have already mentioned, we are using inline style and as well as internal style. Now, see the difference between inline style and internal style, and there's also external style. Uh, all of them have a priority. So, inline style has much higher priority. This is an inline style, and this is called an internal style. External style is when you create a another document, or let's say style.css. So this is a external style. Now for external style, you have to link it within a within a HTML document by writing link, and it will already, it by default has style sheet. But right now we're not dealing with external, so we'll just go with now, the image that I have right now is not aligned and it's to the right. And I want it to be centered. So what I could do is just go to the inline style and apply a text align. So text align, like the name suggests, it will align the text or align whatever object that is there towards the towards the center. If it doesn't work, we always have margin, so it's not working. So we can use margin as well. So I can use margin left. Let's say I use around 40 percentage, and once I do that, it's at the center. Same can be said for this one as well, H1. So I will directly do it through inline's internal style, and let's go with profile, and let's go with margin left to 46 percentage, and the see. So you can see, since this image is also within the profile, it is taking that into consideration. Now I don't want that to happen, so what we could do is just remove this and have profile image. So it will work on the images that are within the profile tag, and I'm providing a border to it, and also margin left is supposed to be 40 percentage only, with an important tag, with an important uh well, okay. Hmm, okay. I suppose margin left is not working here. Next line I will try once again. Just a minute. Okay, yeah. Text line is working now. Now, one thing about margin and using percentage is that when it reduces the environment for that uh, particular object. So if you're using percentage, it will basically, with relative to that particular margin, it will set the image size. So you can go for the fixed size, that is you can use pixels, or you could use rem. One rem is basically like 16 pixels, so let's go with 3 rem for now. Too small, so let's go with 10. And then if we don't want it to be square, we can go with a border radius. And what's border radius? Border radius is basically uh, like it will basically the radius of the border. So it's more like the curved borders, how curved the borders are. So if I do it 50 percentage, it should make it more like an oval shape. Now you can see it's in the oval shape, and that's how I want it. And next part is the P, that is the paragraph text, and I want it to be uh I wanted to have a small width, let's say around 20 percentage would be enough, and margin to be around 40 percentage. If I do that, it is okay. Margin is too much. Can go for, let's say, 20, maybe. Oh, and let's check how it's looking now. Okay, yeah. So margin at 0 is good enough, and we can center align it so that it does not, because by default it is right align. So after center aligning it, it should be proper. Yeah. And I will align this John Wick now. So let's go with this, and let's align the margin. Let's go with margin left to 46 percentage. So let's just add it to there itself. Instead of doing it here, we can just add it to there and make it 48. 8, and I do that, would move per side. Margin left is go with 5% more. 5% is a bit too much. Let's go with 2.5. And I suppose this is good enough for now. So this is at center, maybe a bit paragraph is a bit too side. So we can maybe reduce it to 46, 6, and save it. Uh, Next part is the skills. Now, skills table, we need to align skills as a whole to the center. So let's just go with text align to center. And once you see it, see, yeah, so skills is aligned to the center. Let's also increase the font size and change the font family. Let's go with font size as, let's go with uh 1.5 or 1.2 rem. Be a bit too small, so 1.5 rem. Yeah, so 1.5 rem, and I will also increase the table size because it's a bit too small. So let's go with width of around, let's say, 35 percentage. Uh, Also, at the end of each CSS line, you need to have a semicolon. Otherwise, it won't consider the statement that is next to it. Let's go with margin left as 3. Right. It's a bit towards center. Need to align the table a bit more towards the right. So go with 30. 32. Yeah. As a web developer, most of the times you have to look through your code and through your web page again and again to check if it's aligned properly or not. So most of the time it's not, and there are many times you have to do it manually. So always check when you are writing a line of code. Next one is, let's go add a another HR, that is horizontal line to it, and let's style the horizontal line to look more or more good, more better looking. So I already have a predefined one, that is margin top is 5 percentage. That is from the top margin, how much space it has to live, and border top is the border, that is the top border, that is 10 pixels width and it's dotted, and the color of it. Now the width is basically how it is supposed to look like. Now this is 10%. This is the full size. If I me check. Tag. Let's go check it out. Yeah. So after removing the margin, you can see how it looks. This is the dotted part. You can have it dash as well. For dash, you just need to use dash. And if I apply dash, see this is like this, but it's not that appealing to the eye. So let's just stick to dotted. Yeah. Now I guess work experience. Let it be like this. Not much that can be done to it. Uh, Next one is the after experience. Let's have another HR tag before the education. And yeah, so these HR tags are good for basically dividing sections and understanding after what part a different section starts. Now if I have to align this to the center, let's go align that. Education, tag education, and let's go with align center, same font size. Now you can see it's aligned to the center. You can change the color if you want to change the color of this particular text or all the text within it. You can change it to let's go with white. White is better. Non color doesn't exist. It's more like it's only color. So let's go with hashtag FFF. There are certain hex codes that are assigned. So hashtag FFF and 000 are for black, is white and black respectively. So once I do this, wait this. Yeah. So there should be a semicolon like I mentioned before, otherwise it won't consider the code written after. Yeah. You can see white doesn't work. So let's just stick to black or any other color that might be visible. So let's go with this. Let's see. Yeah. You can see it's close to black. Now next part is the contact me part. And if you want, we can keep it in inline. So inline works for normal text statements as well, a normal any normal statement as well. So if I add style as display inline block and go with this. So inline block would be on here. Okay, it's shortening it. I have to increase this size. Go with percentage. Okay, inline block will shorten this. So let's just raise it to 25. So inline block, if I were to add another icon, let's say I had mentioned Instagram. So if I add uh, Instagram to it, let's go with Instagram and add another icon. Let's go okay, an icon and let's change this. This does not have LinkedIn. So and then change the source to the Instagram link that you have procured. And once you do that, yes, okay, we'll take this copy image address and go to source, change the Instagram, change it to Instagram, and you can see that there's Instagram and now it's in inline that is in the same line as this. There is a gap because I suppose that's because I have done inline block and it has a width of 25 percentage. That's why. So yeah, um, I'll add another HR tag to separate it from different sections. Okay. Yeah. Now there are certain backgrounds to be taken into consideration. Like we have the body tag, we have the body, so we can add background color to it. Go with not that. Let's go with bisque. And if I go through it, you can see, yeah. So background color has been applied, and yeah, you can see the CSS tag. I will add borders to the table so that it's visible. Border for 1 pixel solid. You can see the borders now. So yeah, uh, I suppose that's it from the HTML side. There are certain examples that like I mentioned, these were the forms. External style sheets can be uh, will be taken from uh, external style sheets should be like linked in this instead of inline and internal style sheets. Like I said, this is internal and this is inline. And for for different types of IDs, like this is a keyword, so you can directly mention keywords and assign CSS or any sort of alteration or styles to it. Whereas for IDs you have to use hashtag. For classes you have to use, let's say, class and assign dot class and do whatever color you want. So based on that, yeah, so I suppose that's it from my side. You guys can go through uh, the there are many other tags that are present in HTML that are not mentioned, but what you guys could do is we have an HTML cheat sheets for both HTML and CSS. Special thanks to both Ashwika and Arnav for making those cheat sheets. Now I would hand over the session to Swaradip to continue. So if you have any questions regarding HTML, you guys.
All right. Thank you, Chirag, for that insightful session. Now waiting on Saurdeep to continue teaching us about CSS. Saurdeep, if you have any trouble. Okay, we have Saurdeep over here.
Am I audible?
Yeah, great to have you, Saurdeep. Let's continue teaching everybody about CSS. You may take over as you wish. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Soudip from the Microsoft Student chapter and the tech lead of Microsoft Student chapter. So before proceeding to the CSS, just let if anyone have any doubts in the HTML part, you can just ask. I'm giving 5 minutes time of you and just to take up what Chirag has taught you, and yeah, we will start in 5 minutes. Okay.
Again, for everybody who joined late, all your questions can be posted in the chat box, and I'll let Saurdeep know about your questions. Thank you.
Mm.
Uh, I'll just go through it very quickly. So margin and paddings, basically, like I mentioned, in margin is basically like a Word document. You will have you leave space. So I'll just display, for example, any website. Let's go um, yeah, any website. Let's go through.
Chirag presenting. Okay, great.
Yeah. So if I were let's say this website. So if I go to margin and paddings, you can inspect it. Any website you can inspect, right click and just click on inspect. And you can see that at the, if you scroll it down, you can see there is something called margin, padding, and borders. So let's go with a bit more the example. Let's go with this. So let's go with this. So if you see below, in select this one. If I select this one, any particular order, and I will apply, let's say, a margin. Let's go with 20 pixels. You can see that it moves towards the left side, and if, let's go with uh 250. So that's much more, or 350, which is much more visible. So it moves, this section moves completely, and if you click on it, you can see that uh margin is mentioned in, I guess, brown. It's in mentioned in brown, like here you can see. And if it's padding, padding is basically, if I add 20, so let's go with 20. So it will have the same box, but it's more like space. It's more like space. So in, like, in Word document, you have this as margin, so padding is more like spaces. So that's the difference between margin and padding. I suppose there's nothing else, something that I have forgotten. If you guys have any questions, you can proceed and ask.
All right, I think we've waited long enough. No questions coming up in the chat box as of now. I'll let Sauradeep continue the session about CSS, and let's wrap this meeting up in the next half hour.
Thank you, Chirag, for clearing the padding and all. For let me inform everyone, we are going to deal with this thing greatly in the CSS thing. Margin, border, padding are going to play very important role during our CSS thing, because these are the elements which are going to help us in styling the things. Okay, so before starting CSS, I would like to draw everyone's attention to the documentation of CSS, because in development, documentation plays a very key role, because you can't remember each and every syntax, right? So you have to go through the documentation almost every time you create a new project. So we'll just start with some CSS basics as well. And before that, I would like to draw everyone's attention to VS Code. Let me create a new file. Have HTML as well. And here we will do certain experiments. I will start with the concept of containers or selectors. So what are basically selectors? Let's say we have each one that as hello. Okay, so we basically have hello, but it's just a simple black and white thing. So do anybody have idea what can I do to change this? Okay.
Sauradeep, I'm sorry to remind you that this is not an interactive session yet. Like, we cannot turn on our microphone that often. So you might not face quick prompts or messages from the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, then let me start with another thing. So let's start with the HTML. What else? So let's say this is our body, and in the body we have H1 as hello, and something like this only. But this is so plain. Let's say we want to change the background color of the entire body. So there are three types, three ways in which we can apply CSS. Let's say we are first doing in the same file only. So here we can say in the body section only, the background color. First, let's say it's blue. Okay, wait.
Okay, sorry everyone for what just happened right now. I think Sauradeep is going through some issues connecting. So by the time Sauradeep actually joins, I would like to take over and continue the meeting and talk about CSS more. So let me share my screen and I'll go through over CSS. All right, so I hope you can see my screen. I'll just start up VS Code and pardon my condition. I really haven't worked on front end for quite a lot of time. And I'm just taking this over because of a few problems that came up. So just give me a few moments and I'll just get going. Ah, well, that's the problem when you have too many documents and you have to search through all the documents. So I think it should be, and if I make one, right. So we'll start with creating a simple document called index.html, something that Chirag went over already. And just use HTML5 over here. And let's say the browser. So Deep was trying to say here, let's say text. This is the text here. Now, there are three ways in any style document include inline styling, inline styling, internal styling and also using a style sheet basically. So in the style tag over here, and here we mention everything that we want to do. I can tag and I can style and I'll do color red. Am I forgetting the syntax or something? Please cover up for me if something is wrong. I probably have forgotten the placement of this over here or inside the body. Well, I'll let him take over that internal styling portion. Going to the other final way was the external style sheet, which is making a CSS file out of it. Now, this CSS file can be linked onto this HTML file. So we'll just use link CSS and we can just call paste the href of our style sheet. So currently I named it index. And as soon as I do this, I should have all the styles that are over for my website. Now, for this to appear over here, I'll have to get rid of this and paste it over here. So I think I was missing the braces. That's what happened. I'll do an h1 tag, save it, and save this as well. So you see the style still persists, but now I have an external style sheet instead. All right. So more before we finally finish. So and let me mute my notifications as well. So here the precedence is basically the style tag. So whatever style I give in the style tag, it receives blue or aqua, let's say. So it will that appears over in this styles.css. So this is the basic syntax or basic configuration that you have to follow whenever you're making HTML and CSS together. So you can design each and everything with the help of CSS that's externally linked. And what's the basic benefit of externally linking a CSS? Because you don't have to create styles everywhere. Now, this is a very simple document. It has nothing basically. But if you increase the length of the components and other things, then the the document will obviously become more congested, and you'll have to remove all the style tags at one point or the other. So instead, it's easier to have an index.css file where you can store all your styles. And I would also like to show you how you can edit or see your styles in real time. So here I'll open Chrome DevTools. It's very difficult for you to open your open your development window and keep switching over every time you do a change. So let's say I don't like the color red and I want to go with some other color. So if I want to go with orange, so I'll have to do that change and I need to go back and see all of that. So what's the best thing that you can do instead is you can just select your doc and over in this element you can see the style that precedes. So it's the h1 tag which is in the index. So the next thing that you can do is change the color aqua and you can have something else maybe. So I can do red, dark blue, and you can see how it changes and you can see what exactly you would like and temporarily change it over here. But as soon as you reload this, it'll revert back to your original. So whatever you change you're doing over here, make sure you copy them and then you paste them over here so that you, if you want them to persist. Now, I think that's it from my side for today. I don't think Saurdeep has been able to join. And we will be continuing with the session. We just don't have enough material with WIS as of now. Once
Uh, Aniket,
MSc,
I
yep.
suppose Swaradip is joining. You can wait for a minute or two. If it doesn't, we can end the session.
All right. So yep, we'll wait for Sauradeep, and let's wait for any other doubts or queries also you have. By the time he joins, I think we would be happy to answer your questions. So please fill up the chat box if you have anything. I'll be happy to answer.
If you guys also have any sort of issues, or if you want to learn web development on your own, you guys can always search for HTML docs. They are always available. You can go through for W3 schools. Those have it in detailed manner. So yeah, tomorrow we would be conducting CSS and Bootstrap. So if be there tomorrow for a continued session. Just wait for a few any questions that are there, and otherwise we will wrap up.